Donald Trump and Ben Carson in hot water over Muslims and Islam. Let's look at what they said and have a little bit of a reality check here. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
It is sometimes almost comical to watch the George Stephanopouloses and the media elite deal with something like what happened with Donald Trump and the questioner from New Hampshire. And I'm going to come at this from several different angles, but so that you can know what all the hubbub is about. I'm going to play the entire clip of what happened between the questioner and Donald Trump, and then we'll go from there.
From White Plains, amen, okay? We have a problem in this country. It's called Muslims. We know our current president is one. Right. You know he's not even an American.
We need this
birth
question.
certificates,
This
man.
question.
But anyway, we have training camps growing where they want to kill us. Mm-hmm. That's my question. When can we get rid of it?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
All right, so Donald Trump is in hot water because he did not defend the president and say, oh, no, wait, no, stop, sir. Obama's not a Muslim. Obama's a Christian. Now, the reason that that's critical is because that's what John McCain did way back in 2008, all right? John McCain interrupted somebody and said, no, he's not a Muslim, and defended the honor of Barack Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, by the way. And Trump should have done the same thing. So George Stephanopoulos, these people, they're coming unhinged. Why didn't you defend the president? And Trump's response was, it's not my moral obligation to defend him. He can defend himself. But more importantly, that throwaway comment from the guy, if you listen to the clip of the questioner, he sounded like a good old boy from New Hampshire. Yeah, amen. He was saying something about where he was from, and amen, and it was kind of endearing. And people were smiling and laughing. The heart and soul of this man's question, as you just saw, was about radical, terrorist-leaning Muslims in America that have training camps, and the FBI does know this, okay? They do know, in fact, know this, places where they get together, as is their constitutional right, to practice with firearms and to discuss what's in the Quran and the Hadith, okay? There are these places. The FBI knows it. And this man simply said, okay, what are we going to do? And Trump said, we're going to look at it. The FBI right now, under orders from the Justice Department, is not allowed to use religious profiling or ideological profiling when looking at terrorists. Now, in case you don't know what that means, it means they cannot look at their Islamic leanings and what they're reading in Islam, okay? Because if Islam is a religion of peace, then it's irrelevant. Now, as you may know, there are portions of the Quran and many hadith, the words of Muhammad that are not in the Quran, that do indicate that jihad, killing unbelievers, killing and dying in battle makes a Muslim a martyr. There are many passages like this. And if groups of Muslims are getting together, stoking each other up using these verses, like, I forget his name, the blind cleric in New York. He stirred people up and got the first man to try and bring down the Twin Trade Towers just by his speech, stirring him up with his Islamic rhetoric and historic Islam. So the FBI has said, you can't look at any of that. That's not a valid motive. We're not interested in their ideology. Well, then why, how is it that you could even properly investigate them? If you would look at communism and their rhetoric and their ideology, all right, not that communism and Islam are the same thing, because they're not, but when we used to have a true threat from communism, they would look at it, the ideology. But beyond that, what is amazing to me is how out of touch these media people are with everyday Americans and how out of touch they are with reality. For Muslims, for these media to think that radical Islam is not a problem or that these training camps in America should not be looked at is laughable. Only George Stephanopoulos, only some of these insiders in New York and in Washington, D.C. could take themselves seriously and mock Trump for suggesting that we need to look at these camps. And regarding whether or not Obama is a Muslim, I think he's probably not, but there still is a question in my mind, and I'll explain it why later. And later in the program, we're going to play a montage of clips that somebody put together on YouTube, great job, about Obama's defense of Islam. So stay with me. Ben Carson in the next segment, getting in trouble. And one other thing about the media. People in America, not everyone, but many people in America are so sick of the media elite that when they jump on Donald Trump for nonsense like this, what happens? Trump's numbers keep going up. Even since the debate in which, evidently Carly Fiorina won, now they're saying Trump's numbers went up. And they're going to go up over this Islam thing as well. Because he does recognize that there is a problem with fundamentalist Islamic jihad. There's a problem. If you don't think there's a problem, go live in Pakistan or Afghanistan for a while. See if you even make it back alive. Thanks to friends like you, we have state-of-the-art cameras and state-of-the-art teleprompters and state-of-the-art gear here in the studio. We have one big need, however. We have not yet been able to upgrade our computers. The computers that we use for a television broadcast or to create a documentary are not like the kind that you can just go buy at Best Buy. They are expensive because it takes so much horsepower to create TV series and or documentaries. So I'm asking you, if you want to see this show grow and you want to see us finish the What Would Muhammad Do series, help us get these computers. 3 computers that we need right now are going to be just shy of $20,000. That's the kind of horsepower that we need. Go to the GoFundMe page you see right there. Watch the pilot for What Would Muhammad Do? And if you like the show, give us a gift. Later in the program, we're going to see a montage of clips that show Obama's sympathies for Islam. In his own words, okay? In his own words. And some fairly flabbergasting rewrites of history. But let's focus on Dr. Ben Carson right now. I have to applaud Dr. Carson and show my shock at Ted Cruz. Did you know that Ted Cruz, when pressed on this, did not defend Carson? He said, no, there shouldn't, the Constitution says there's no religious oath necessary, so it would not be a litmus test for me to determine if someone was a president. Boy, Mr. Cruz, Senator Cruz, I think you messed up on that one. But anyway, let's play a portion of the interview that Ben Carson did on NBC.
May wrap this up by finally dealing with what's been going on, Donald Trump, and I deal with a questioner that claimed that the president was Muslim. Let me ask you the question this way. Should a president's faith matter? Should your faith matter to voters?
Well, I guess it depends on what that faith is. If it's inconsistent with the values and principles of America, then of course it should matter. But if it fits within the realm of America and consistent with the Constitution, no problem.
So do you believe that Islam is consistent with the Constitution?
No, I don't. I do not. I would not advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not agree with that.
All right, so God bless him. God bless him. In another point in the interview, he mentioned that Shiite Muslims have a word, it's called taqiyya, which is the deliberate deception of hiding their Muslim faith, hiding their objectives until they get in a place where they can accomplish their objectives, all right? And I was pleased that he used the word. Sunnis don't use that word, and I will explain the Sunni-Shiite split in a minute. But here's the bottom line. If that journalist who asked the question of Ben Carson had actually done research and spent maybe an hour or 2 hours reading the constitutions of Saudi Arabia or Pakistan, reading some elements of Sharia law written by Muslims, all right, then he would in fact know that Islam, the tenets of Islam as expressed in the Quran, the Hadith, and ultimately in Sharia law, are incompatible with the United States Constitution. For example, Muhammad taught repeatedly that there are 3 instances in which a Muslim can face death. 1 is for unlawful sexual relations. 2 is if he apostatizes. Okay? 3 is if he kills another Muslim, murders another Muslim. So, by the way, he said specifically if he murders another Muslim. It's not if he murders a human being, so if he murders another Muslim, then he could face the death sentence. Illicit sexual relations and apostatizing. What that means is that a Muslim faces a death sentence if they say, I now believe in Jesus, and I want to share my faith in Jesus. All right? These are capital crimes. That's inconsistent with the U.S. Constitution. So, of course, Islam is inconsistent with the U.S. Constitution. And this is what Islam has taught from the beginning, okay? That's why it is a crime in Saudi Arabia or in Pakistan or in Afghanistan to apostatize. For a Muslim to become a Christian is a criminal act in those countries. So this journalist, if he knew just a little bit, if he was responsible enough and studious enough to look at the facts on the ground as presented by Muslims, he would never be insulting the rest of us and pressing Ben Carson. It's absurd. All right. Let's talk quickly about Shiite-Sunni split. I'm going to go just a whisker long here. Ben Carson in the interview said that the Shiites have a word for the deception. It's called taqiyya. The Sunnis also practice it, but they don't have a name for it. And there's a squabble between the Sunnis and the Shiites over the legitimacy, the levels of legitimacy. The Sunni-Shiite split happened when the first generation of people, right after Muhammad died, and Shiite is an abbreviation for Shia al-Ali, which means the party of Ali. Those were Muslims who believed that Muhammad's son-in-law, who was also his cousin, was the only legitimate successor to Muhammad, and that it has to be a blood heir of Muhammad. They wanted a dynasty like the kings of Europe. The Sunnis said, no, the successor of Muhammad, the next leader, can be anybody, just as long as they're a good Muslim. So they had Abu Bakr, and then Umar, and then Uthman, and then Ali. They call them the rightly guided caliphs. Caliph means successor. The 4 rightly guided caliphs, those 4, companions of the Prophet is what they're called. Those are who the Sunnis believe. Yes, Ali was one of them, but it doesn't have to be him. The Shiites say, oh, no. It had to be Ali next, and one of his sons, etc. Well, his 2 sons, Hassan and Hussein, were both murdered. And Hussein, in an epic battle, what could have been a battle, he was actually, him and all of his men were surrounded and killed one by one in the desert by Sunnis. So the hatred between Sunnis and Shiites goes all the way back to the 1st century. There's the split. There's the violence. And by the way, Barack Obama's middle name is Hussein. Barack Hussein Obama, which is a Shiite treasure. And I don't understand. I still have not been able to find out if his dad, the Muslim, was a Shiite Muslim or a Sunni Muslim. And I would sure love to know. If anyone can find that data and have it be confirmable, please let me know. In the next segment, we're going to show you the sympathies of our current president towards Islam. You won't want to miss this. Christians must be involved in government, period. If Christians weren't involved in government, we would not have a United States of America. And there have been brilliant Christian minds over the centuries, such as John Locke. who is called the philosopher of American liberty. He was quoted by Clarence Thomas in his recent dissent on the homosexual marriage decision. If we don't understand John Locke, we don't understand the founding of America. I want to send you this book and my book, The Sword, subtitled The Blessing of Righteous Government and The Overthrow of Tyrants. I want to send you these two books for a gift of whatever you can afford. Pay the $8 shipping and handling, which does not cover our costs, and then give a gift of whatever size you want, and we'll send you these books. If you cannot afford anything but the $8, can't even afford that, write us a note, and we'll send them to you for free. I want you to have these books so that you can be better equipped to fight in the political arena. Come on, order them today. There have been a lot of people who have criticized the president. 38% of Americans in the last poll believe that he's a Muslim. 38%. This is in spite of the fact that he has a Trinitarian baptism. Okay? Obama has been baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. He professes to be a Christian. All right. Normally, we should, I believe it, take him at his word. The only sliver that there might be that he's not being fully honest is the practice of taqiyya, where you're allowed to hide your Muslim faith to get in a place where you could use the Muslim faith for the purposes of Islam. Is that what's going on here? Probably not. But because he was brought up Muslim, in fact, let's play this clip, and in his own words, let's listen to President Obama's praise of Islam and his rewriting of history.
Assalamu alaikum. Many other Americans have Muslims in their families or have lived in a Muslim majority country. I know because I am one of them. But my father came from a Kenyan family that includes generations of Muslims. As a boy, I spent several years in Indonesia and heard the call of the azan at the break of dawn. I have known Islam on 3 continents before coming to the region where it was first revealed. That experience guides my conviction.
You're absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith.
As the Holy Quran tells us, the Holy Quran teaches that, the Holy Quran tells us, and the Holy Quran also says, we will convey our deep appreciation for the Islamic faith, which has done so much over the centuries to shape the world.
I would like to speak directly to the people and leaders of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Your great and celebrated culture. Over many centuries, your art, your music, literature, and innovation have made the world a better and more beautiful place. We know that you are a great civilization, and your accomplishments have earned the respect of the United States and the world.
I also know civilization's debt to Islam. It was Islam at places like Uluzada that carried the light of learning through so many centuries, paving the way for Europe's Renaissance and Enlightenment.
Well, there you have it. All right? Then my thanks to the person who put this together, this montage. By the way, there's more minutes of it. We didn't want to play the whole thing. But that last statement, that Islam paved the way for the Renaissance, when I saw that, I was so shocked. My wife heard it from the other room and yelled out, "What? What did I just hear?" We're actually both students of history. What that statement that he made is complete fallacy. Complete fallacy. All right? If you look, yes, Islam did have some of its most brilliant mathematicians help with, if my memory is correct, algebra and geometry. And there is a debt to certain individual Muslims for their additions to the field of mathematics. I'll get that. Give the devil his due. But to say that the umbrage of Islamic law and the religion of Islam helped civilization and helped freedom and helped with the Renaissance, and this is fantasy. All right? It's fantasy. I can't even come up with it. It would be like this. By the way, it'd be like saying that the religions of the Caesars were the foundation of religious freedom. That's what it would be like saying. Now, meanwhile, Caesars are killing Christians for not burning incense to them, but Obama says Caesar was the foundation of religious freedom, and we have a great debt to Caesar and to the religions of the Roman Empire for giving us the freedoms and the civilization that we enjoy today. Long live Caesar! Has anyone got a pinch? Friend, this TV show represents a mission. It's to be a voice of resistance to the evil in the land, but also to inspire people like you to take a stand at any level that you might be able to equip you, to inspire you, to challenge you, to give you the rhetorical ammunition that you need. But we still have to pay bills. This program, as you know if you're a regular viewer, we don't spend a lot of time raising money. We don't spend a lot of time saying, oh, you need to buy this and we're going to run. No, we're bringing you a message, but we still have bills that we need to pay. I'm asking you, if you have been blessed by this show, to please go to our website or send a check to the address you see on the screen or call the phone number that you see on the screen and use your credit card and to give $50 or $100 or $500 just to help us meet our normal expenses. And we'll keep bringing you this hard-hitting show. Does a bad Christian make Christianity illegitimate? I don't think so. In other words, Christianity is a religion, and it stands or falls based upon the virgin birth of Christ, his sinless life, his atoning death, his burial, his bodily resurrection. Okay? Those are the key tenets of the Christian faith. So if somebody says, I'm a Christian, they really are a Christian, and then they do something bad, wrong, evil, sinful, does that make Christianity false? Well, clearly the answer is no. So you separate at that point a Christian or Christians from Christianity, and you study the religion of Christianity and leave the behaviors of Christians aside for a minute. There are many people who rightly say, all Muslims are not bad people. My neighbor's a Muslim, he doesn't want to kill me. No one is saying that, okay? And many Muslims don't even know some of the history of Islam. When I traveled around the Middle East and was learning Arabic and studying Islam, going to Palestine, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, I asked about a dozen Muslims, real quietly, did you know that Muhammad killed people with his own hand? And a couple of them I asked, did you know that he had sex slaves? And only 2 of the people that I questioned knew that Muhammad had killed someone with his own hand. And they were offended that the others who didn't know were offended that I would even ask or think such a thing. Now this is in the Middle East, okay? So these are people who don't know their own religion. So my point is this. Islam is a historic theological construct, all right, that you look at. You study its tenets, you study its law, Sharia law. Muslims are a separate matter. Are most Muslims peaceful? Of course they are. That's not the issue. The issue is, do they adhere to this body of thought that would cut our heads off? The body of thought would order our heads to be cut off if it could. you.